Bring on our friend Jay Caulfield.
Joe, I got some breaking news
What do
here.
you got?
Big time breaking news, and Jay is be perfect here to talk about. This coming from Evan Shaw of the Penguins. Kris Letang out indefinitely after having stroke.
Oh my God.
Another stroke.
Oh my God.
Is out indefinitely suffering a stroke, announced today by Ron Hextall, not experiencing any lasting effects, will continue to undergo a series of tests. No further updates to his condition until all testing completed. Medical plan is in place. His condition is not believed to be career threatening. This is be number 2 for him, right? Isn't that what happened
Yes,
before?
that's exactly what happened.
In
Who's that coming from, Ron?
the Penguins.
Penguins?
In 2014, the defenseman missed over 2 months due to a stroke. Oh, man.
That is just jolting.
Disheartening news.
Jay, are you there? Jay's on the Nemacolin fan
Yeah,
hotline. Reaction to that.
yeah, that is that's tough to hear for the not only the player but the husband, the father, and just in general, like everything that goes with that. That is terrible news, and I mean not career threatening. I'm not sure. I don't know anything about. I don't know what that would be or what that means, but to have two strokes by in your 30s, that doesn't make um, that's tough to hear for anybody. So certainly we wish him all the best, and for them to say that he could be back, or it's not career ending or threatening. Again, I don't know, but again, there's more to it than just a hockey player. It's a family man and everything that goes with that. So certainly our thoughts and prayers go out to Kris Letang with that, because it's not the normal. It's not a normal
No.
medical report you're ever going to hear. It's so against the grain, guys. I don't even, he's such a fine-tuned athlete, and to have those kind of issues is that's tough to take. Like I said, but it's deeper than that as a player. It's everything else that goes with that and what that means.
Second time, Jay. That's what's scary to me.
Yeah.
The second time, and he's had a star-crossed career. Obviously, unbelievable career. The 3 cups, but then he had the neck surgery the one year
Yeah.
that he missed the entire playoff run. He's had unbelievable, obstacles. But the same thing, and this stroke is different than Sidney Crosby's concussion or Evgeny Malkin's knee. But how many games these guys have all missed together? It's just
Yeah.
incredible. It's incredible. We've been blessed to watch them, but they've been cursed by how many they've had to miss, Jay.
Yeah, I agree, Ron. I mean, it is. It's first of all, the sport is tough in general, right? It's a grind, mentally, physically, whatever you do in the game, it's a grind. It's tough, but it's the way it is. Like the game of football. What does that mean? What players go through in every sport, and here the game, which has the physical element, the skating part, and the great side of it. But there's also a grind to it, and guys keep themselves. I mean, again, especially especially him, Kris Letang, keeps himself in probably the best condition. When you watch him play, as we always say, he gets stronger with every minute he plays. And again, this is a real, I don't. It's a real. That's a tough one to hear. As I said, it's deeper than the sport, right? It's deeper than just what the hockey is. What it is for him as a individual. It's not like you said, Ron, hearing about a knee or anything else like that. This is something different, and not used to hearing that about a 30-year-old player, 30-some-year-old player.
Yeah, it sort of renders anything about the game or anything else sort of meaningless.
Yeah.
He was sidelined in 2014. We all remember that, for 2 months. And there was so much
Yeah.
mystery around it then. Would it be, obviously, you think stroke, you think, is this the end of his career? And I'm sure people will be thinking that again. The Penguins say no lasting effects right now, but who
I don't.
knows where this goes? It's just crazy.
I don't know how that's not lasting. No, I don't know. Like, again, that's where then I'd be speaking out of turn, but I'm not sure how that's no lasting. I don't understand that. I don't know what that. I mean, you see people go through stuff, but again, they're the doctors that look at it. They'll give the advice, and they're not going to send them into harm's way. If there's, I mean, they'll take their time with this, and they're good, and that's what it's going to have to take, and then see what happens. He came back from it before, and hopefully he can do the same thing again.
Well, this is just shocking news.
I'm staggered by the. I looked at. I had to look at it twice, Joe. Is this something from 6 years ago, 8 years ago?
Right. That's the same thing I thought about his quote, but that's in there too. So Kris Letang suffers a second stroke since 2014, but Ron Hextall saying this one is less severe. It's just, I don't know anything. I'm like Jay. Of course, I feel like anything I say regarding that's going to be stupid. You know what I mean?
I just, if I got to have total trust in the doctors here, obviously. But I mean, if there's any chance, I'll retire today. I want to be around for my family and my kids.
Right.
Now if they tell me you're absolutely safe, then it's an individual decision.
I mean,
but I mean, what would you do? I mean, you've had 2 now. I don't know that I'd want to tempt fate again.
Well,
but that's just me.
But it's not 2 from playing hockey, though.
Right.
So what difference would it make if you played hockey or not?
But I don't know, maybe strenuous work, but
That's the question I don't know.
No one works out harder than he does.
That's the question I don't know.
It's just so sad and shocking.
Yeah, it is. And yet, in the context of when you first read it from now until now, to hear Ron Hextall say it's less severe is really heartening news.
I mean, they've gone out of their way, it feels like, to make sure that people know that this isn't as serious as it sounds, right?
Well, their release also points out that since the initial stroke, he's played 543 regular season games and 69 playoff games.
Yeah. That was amazing when he came back. I'll never forget that day. I
think it was in L.A. or something, wasn't it? I think his family was with him in his hotel room, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and then they had a news conference. I remember him walking into the room, and then you're just thinking, we were doing a show at a hotel, myself and Mulsey downtown before a game. I think either when the news came down or the next day, and you just didn't know where this was going to go. Was he ever going to play again? So, under the circumstances, I would say the follow-up items that we've seen have been encouraging regarding Letang. As encouraging as it can be when you get news like that. So we'll see where this story goes. Our thanks to Jay Caulfield, who was on the Nemacolin fan hotline. Nemacolin around every corner creates real-life magic for guests.
Joe, I mean, obviously we both, all of us, 3 of us mentioned it. He's a family guy, and that's the most important thing, is long-term health. I don't think he's been having a really good year. I've only been to a handful of games, but I read that he is not playing well. But then I read Yoey's observation from last night that said they miss him terribly. They have trouble getting out of their end without him. From a hockey standpoint, I mean, they were looking at a tough grind to make the playoffs. I don't know how long he'll be out. Maybe he'll be back relatively quickly. But strictly from a hockey standpoint, I think this is a punishing news for them.
Yeah, absolutely. For a guy who plays that much and does all the things.
Every situation in the minutes he plays.
Even when he's struggling, he's still doing a bunch of good things out there that probably aren't noticed. So, no lasting effects, according to the team. Less serious than the last stroke, which kept him out 2 months, according to Hextall, and that's just where we're at. Out indefinitely. That's the story.
The other good thing is the doctors here, and you know this, Joe. Your wife works in the medical field. We're so blessed to have the doctors and hospitals here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People come from all over the world here when they're sick because the medical people here are so outstanding. So I'm sure he's getting great care here, and they're not going to let him put himself at risk.
Yoey again tweets out, Letang said he was having a migraine on Monday. He called Chris Stewart. Decision was made to take him to the hospital, where it was discovered he'd had a stroke. And that's where that story stands right now. I'm sure we're going to hear other nuggets. And I remember from the last time that, I think the symptoms started in L.A. when he started.
I thought he was in his hotel room, and his wife actually called the medical people.
That's right.